And Just to Serve TV is on the air. Linda Kenney, Baden, how are you? Looking lovely in your purple there.
Oh, thank you, thank you. You know, it's a Catholic color for mourning and all, but I'm not going to be mourning this show.
Is this Lent? I can't keep up with all the
It is.
Catholic holidays. Is it
It
Lent?
is Lent. It is Lent. You know, as a retired Catholic, I don't really keep up either.
You're retired. Can you do that?
But it's as close to. I have so much pink. I was going to wear pink, but then I decided to wear this because I think it's really unfortunate when innocent people get charged with crimes or overcharged with crimes, and this is my expression of that.
Okay.
Color.
Well, thanks for clarifying that color code combination there. Hey, it's past my bedtime, but for a good reason, right? We are very lucky tonight to have a guy I've been happy to chat with briefly at the courthouse there in Canton as the Karen Reed case has unfolded, part 2. Just an interesting dude all around. Great article in the Atlantic magazine. If you haven't read that, you ought to check that out. We'll talk about it a little bit tonight. This guy's clearly the lightning rod of this Karen Reed case. And people, he's like a rock star when he's there. And he's also, a couple of people don't like him. You know, hey, it's a free country. But we got the opportunity to bring on and talk to Aidan Kearney, Mr. Turtleboy. There he is. Hey, I appreciate you put on the sport coat. What's the deal? You're making me look bad.
Trying to be fancy, trying to dress the part, be the part.
Well, what's your jacket? What's your shirt say? Hi, Aiden. Nice to meet you. Free Karen Reed, of course. But you know, I had to ask you. Let's show it again. Come on, let's. You know, we have you on for a reason here.
All about Free Karen Reed, mugshot shirt available in the Turtleboy store.
There you go.
There you go. Go.
You know, I don't know where to start. So let's do this. Let's talk about current events, and then we'll dig deeper. You have a hearing coming up next week, right? On Tuesday, the 18th. Is that correct?
Tentatively scheduled. We're trying to, both of my lawyers have conflicts that day, so we're trying to move it.
So you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Put me in the loop on that because I was going to come up for that. But it's going to happen, or do you think there's going to be a deal that will prevent it from happening?
I have no idea. I mean, it's up to the prosecution, I would assume. I mean, I think there's a certain gentleman's agreement amongst attorneys that if somebody has a conflict that day, if it's no good for them, they'll reschedule it, right? I mean, I've seen it a million times before. Obviously, it's not too much of a pressing issue if they can afford to wait 2 weeks to arraign me. It's obviously not, you know, I'm not a danger. It doesn't need to be dealt with.
I don't know. I feel intimidated already.
And may I say this, and we're going to discuss it later. How about Mr. Prosecutor or Madam Prosecutor or whoever the prosecutor is who's going to be in charge or play with or deal with dropping the charge? Let's start with that, and we'll discuss why later on. But not that I make my opinions known to anybody, Aiden. If you know me, you know that I'm not shy.
Yeah. Well, I know you're an attorney, so attorneys generally aren't shy in that regard. But yeah, I mean, this of all the charges I've gotten, this is probably the most absurd, and that's saying something because they're all various levels of absurd. But you know, looking into a camera and briefly talking into a camera that you have no idea is actively recording you, and then calling that witness intimidation is perhaps the most, you know, absurd overuse of the law I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, you know, as everyone here who watches us knows, I've tried cases. I sit next to people accused of shooting people in the head. Phil Spector, Aaron Hernandez. You know, those are alleged crimes. At least you can charge whether a person's guilty or not. This one, I think the only crime that was committed, it may have been by somebody else. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself because it's such an issue for me in terms of this whole wiretap issue that I'm going to let Michael take back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love we went over the Mark Betterow letter last night, and I've talked pretty extensively with Mark both at the scene, and I chatted with him a little bit prior to the latest Pro Hac Vice denied, which we could talk about in a second because that's another ridiculous decision. But I love the creativity of this wiretap letter. Do you expect, for those who don't know, Mark Betterow, Aiden's attorney, writes a letter to Chief Rafferty and says, hey, you might want to check into this because they're violating whatever the code section might be by having this camera outside D&E Pizza that collects sound. And Massachusetts is a two-party state, meaning before you can record somebody, you need just my permission as the recording person and your permission as the recordee, or it's wiretap. And so I've never seen it applied in kind of a public setting like this, but the law is the law, right? In fact, this is a picture that we got. We took it from one of the videos I did, and Aiden, this will show you that I'm more concerned about the craft than my vanity, because this picture is not exactly flattering, but it does show what we think is the location of that camera. And I will point out, before you cross-examine me, it is inverted. So you can tell
It is.
it
It's
is
true.
inverted. So is this, I don't know, can
No,
you,
that's not it.
that's not the camera. Is it more in the corner over here?
No, it's in the, well, it would be if it
If
wasn't
this were,
inverted.
so it's actually off screen over here.
above the door. So
Okay.
we like the camera I was looking at was more towards C.F. McCarthy's. Like, I came right out of C.F. McCarthy's. I see a blinking light right above that Canton Police, we respect Canton Police sign. And I'm like, you look at the blinking light, and I'm like, if you watch the video, I'm like transfixed by this light. I'm like looking at it, like just staring at it for like 25 seconds. And then they all come out and they're cracking up. They're like, what? Like, we have been drinking. And it's like Aiden is doing a bit. He's staring into a camera, like what appears to be a camera. Now, I had no idea that I was being recorded until the next day when I found out I was being charged. I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, that's the great thing. If it's illegal to record under the wiretap statute, so you wouldn't expect those cameras to be recorded. Right. All right.
Especially with the guy with the sign that says "We respect police" in the window. This is a law and order guy.
Right. How could you have the intent to intimidate if you didn't believe anybody was looking at you?
Well, they're going to say, well, then why did you address Chris directly? It's like, if you watch the tape again, I'm there, I'm silent for 25 seconds, and then Will comes up from behind me, and he's like, "Let's do a little bit here." He like puts his things in me and does the T-Rex arms, and he's like, and we just start putting on a little show. Right. For no one in particular, just for the group that we're with, they're laughing. Everybody's laughing. You know what I mean? I'm not talking to say that I'm addressing Chris Albert is just such a reach. They wish I was addressing Chris Albert. Like, they're just looking for any opportunity to revoke my bail. Brian Tully asked for them to arrest me. He wanted an arrest warrant out for this. He wanted to have me arrested on the courthouse steps when I went into my motion to dismiss, because he knew all the cameras would be there. So, this is lawfare. This is people that are just weaponizing the justice system. They don't care how they look. They know it sounds ridiculous. They know how pathetic it is to have all these grown men crying about witness intimidation because of little old me. And they just don't care, because the ends justify the means. They're just like, well, the goal is to put this guy in jail, teach him a lesson. And if we have to kind of degrade ourselves a little bit by pretending to be little girly men who are afraid of our own shadow, then so be it.
Anyone doesn't know, it's Will. We had Will on the other night.
Yes, and you see he's mentioned he's pleading the fifth. So, and I've got some of that. I want to show a couple of those little clips just so people who haven't seen it, especially the one where you're audio recorded, they can kind of get a sense of what's going on here. Before I do that, I think it's ironic, Aiden, that all of this effort to go after you is really highlighting the incompetence and the motive of the cops in the Karen Reed case. It seems to me it just backfires on them.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, why would they go after you? Why would they use all this to go after you?
You know the answer to that.
But what it's doing is telling people how bad the cops are as it relates to the Karen Reed case.
Yeah, in the investigation, right? They wrote 6 pages on your arrest for a allegedly intimidation here on a ridiculous public street with a pizza parlor, and yet they don't go in, as we said the other night. They have a dead body at 134 Fairview, and no one bothers to go into get an arrest, a search warrant to go into the house to check. Hello.
Well, I mean, it's entirely consistent with who they are. I mean, this is what they've done the whole time. They had a 36-page report over rubber duckies. Do you guys know about that one?
Oh yeah,
rubber duckies. Like they did. That was a 6-month operation that they did. At least with me, it was done in 49 minutes. The investigation was over. With Rich Schiffer, like they did a sting. They did freaking, subpoenas. They did garbage. They dumpster dove for information on rubber duckies and stickers and whatnot. So with me, it's it's the least surprising thing ever. You know, I've realized this since the day that they arrested me, October 11th, 2023, and charged me with these. That's when I realized that they didn't care. That's when they're like, oh, they just don't care at all. Because they have to know how bad this looks. Like, they have to know that, like, the guy who is criticizing you guys just arrested me because you're mad that I'm criticizing you in particular. And let me just tell you, you know, there's some stuff that's I can't talk about because of protective orders that you don't know yet. And you haven't seen the half of it when it comes to motive for these people.
You know, no, Aiden, for those who are just joining us who don't know your story, I mean, first of all, I would tell them to read the Atlantic piece that was just done, which we're going to talk about. And there's a certain part that especially I want to discuss with you, but to read that, but just give them a brief thumbnail sketch of who you are, how you got involved in this case, and why it's so important to you.
Well, I'm an award-winning journalist, and I break stories on matters of public concern. I've been doing it for over a decade now. I'm a former school teacher. I love this stuff. And, you know, Karen Reed, when that came across my desk in April of 2017, I read a couple court filings on it. And, you know, that was just the story I was going to write that day. It was just another story, to be perfectly honest with you. I had no idea I'd be writing about 2 years later. Like, I thought it was good. I mean, when I write stories, they're usually a one and done, maybe a 3 or 4 parter, like I've done in the past. I think 6 is the most I've ever done on a story. But now we're getting close to 500 articles on this, and it just never ends, the shenanigans. And I realized right away, like when I first wrote about the story, I'm like, well, they got a Google search at 227. They got the phone calls to Nicole Albert that are picked up at 607 and 608. They got all these deleted phone calls between 5 and 9 o'clock for Jennifer McCabe. Like, they had everything on these people. The dog's gone. It's just like, oh, they got them. And like, if there's anyone who looks at this objectively is going to say, we have to drop this for the sake of public trust. Like, we can't be an institution that people don't trust. If people lose faith in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Norfolk District Attorney's Office in particular, then our entire civilization crumbles if we don't have faith in our institution. So they had to drop it. At least that's what I assumed. And then when they pushed forward and said, no, this is all, wait till you see what's coming next. That was what they always used to say. Wait, we have something big up our sleeve. Like, there's going to be, so they had nothing. They had nothing to combat it. There was no Jessica Hyde then. There was no Ian Whiffen then, right? They told us that the Google search didn't happen as the defense claimed it did, but they hadn't hired an expert yet who had reached that determination. So they already had an answer. They just had to go out and find the expert who was going to give them the answer that they were willing to pay for. I wonder how many other experts they had take a look at the data until they found the ones that they wanted to.
I think about their motivation, and I think we understand what that is, but they are either so stupid or so arrogant or both that they're missing the impact this is having on them and therefore on the Karen Reed case. It boggles my mind.
Arrogant. They're not stupid. They're arrogant. Like, these people aren't stupid. They know what they're doing. I mean, Morrissey's pretty stupid, but like, Hank Brennan's no fool. Like, these are just arrogant people who are like, yeah, we know how bad this looks, but what are you going to do about it? Like, that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's like, we got the judge, right? The judge is clearly on our side. She's going to do what we want. She's not going to dismiss this case. And what are you going to do besides sit there and cry about it and do your YouTube shows and go and protest? And if you ask any of these people questions, like, then we're going to throw you in jail. Like, and we can do that because we have the guns and you don't. And so that's like, when we come to your house and we say you're under arrest, if you don't want to be arrested, it doesn't matter. You don't have guns. I do. And so that's why we're going to take your freedom from you with arms. And so that's why the founding fathers had a Second Amendment, was not so that we could go hunting for deer or protect ourselves from intruders. The Second Amendment was supposed to protect us from a tyrannical government. And, this is why, because like, they can, as long as they have the arsenal, they can do whatever they want to you. And they know that.
Well, even
Yeah.
we were talking about this with this whole intimidation issue. They could say that any of us acting as journalists who criticize them are guilty of some kind of obstruction of justice or intimidation of witnesses because we're criticizing some of the witnesses. We're criticizing the case. We're criticizing the prosecutors. So where does this stop?
It doesn't. I mean, according to them, it's subjective. It is whatever they interpret their feelings as, because of this statute, the provision in the statute that says that you cannot cause emotional harm to a witness. That means that all Jennifer McCabe or Chris Albert has to say was, I feel scared. I feel threatened. I feel intimidated. My emotions are affected by this. You've caused me emotional harm. And the second provision of the law says that you have to, you can't cause emotional harm in order to try to influence testimony or change the outcome or obstruct a trial in some way, shape, or form. And, normally the burden would be on the Commonwealth, the state, to tell you to prove, that that was your intent, but not in my case. In my case, with the grand jury, every single one of these people who was brought up there and told their sob story, they were all asked, what do you think his intent was? What do you think his intent was? And they all said, it was like a script. His intent was to prevent me from testifying in the Karen Reed trial. They all said that except for Colin. Colin's the idiot who didn't understand the line. And they asked him and they said, why do you think he's doing this to you? And like the script says, because I'm a witness in the Karen Reed trial and he does not want me to testify. But Colin goes, I don't really know why. I don't know what this guy's problem is. It's like he just didn't. It's like, this dad.
He didn't get the email.
Oh my God. Like, moron. We prepped you for this. But you have rocks in your brain. So I don't know. But yeah, so that's the problem is Jennifer McCabe gets to determine my intent. She gets to determine why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that is just, if that's the case, then everybody's guilty of witness intimidation, as long as Jennifer McCabe's
you mentioned that, and we kind of like, we're going to do that later, but I think we're going to do it now. Michael, do you have the slide that I
let me do this before we roll into that.
Okay.
Let me audibilize here, because I want to lay the foundation for the incident for this most recent charge, right? And so we have a quick clip of that, and then more importantly, we have the audio version, which I think helps Mr. Betterow. So this obviously is you guys just having some fun.
Grab ass. Yeah,
I know that I'm intimidated watching it. I'm scared to death. Okay, so that's basically, you went on for a minute or two.
That was like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's all I gave you. That was rapping.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't have the audio.
I'm like, yo, what up, motherfuckers? Sorry if I can't swear on air. But I was doing a comedy bit. Like, I'm not actually a rapper.
Yeah, but you were doing the rap, and you were
like, what's up? Yeah, that thing. Yeah, like, but I'm not like, that's what makes it funny is I'm a 43-year-old white guy. I'm not a rapper. That's the comedy part.
Yeah, like, but Eminem is one of the best rappers in the world, and he's
but I'm not Eminem. I'm not from 8 Mile. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so then this is the other camera, which picks up some audio, and we'll let people try and decipher what you're talking about. I knew immediately what it was.
Ball is no going out there to block it. Remember, it's all in here. Hey, it's all in here. Work with it now. It's all in here. Yeah, it's all in here. Yes. Block it. Remember, it's all in here. Hey, it's all in here. Work with it now. It's all in here. Yeah, it's all in here. Yes. Oh, get off of it.
So
what's that audio?
So that's audio, bad audio from bad audio.
Did you add that audio in?
No, that was there.
I don't think.
You don't think so?
No, at all. That's definitely
what you were doing.
That's added in audio.
Weren't you doing? You
got that from
Caddyshack?
So, somebody made a meme.
They made that one was?
Yeah, you played a meme. Yeah, you played
the video's correct, right?
Yeah, you played a video that somebody made a meme out of.
Oh, so I couldn't understand what it was saying, but the actions I thought were from Caddyshack. No.
Yeah, they added that in. That's what a meme is.
No. What were you acting out?
I wasn't acting out anything. So I don't think you understand memes. So somebody takes you know what a meme is?
Yeah.
A
video and then they dub in something else to go along with it.
But that was Will behind you, right?
Right.
And his arms through your arms, right?
Yeah. T-Rex arms. Yeah.
And what was he doing?
I don't know. He just started doing it. I don't
Okay.
there was
Anyway.
no plan at all. Yeah. There's no
Okay.
plan. Yeah.
So that's the camera angle, though, that has the audio. That was not the right audio, apparently. But that's the one that would pick up somebody's audio, whether you're walking down the street or whether you're stopping to yell at a empty building or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah. I mean, you hear me on that video saying what parts of what Robert Cosgrove read out loud in court. You know, he missed key words and sentences from the audio. Like, for instance, I said, why did you do that, Chris? Peter Berger should be alive today. And, you know, Peter Berger is the man that he killed in 1994 in a hit and run crash on Interstate 95. And he went to jail for 6 months over that. And I'm like, why did you drive drunk and kill Peter Berger, Chris? You know, but they leave the Peter Berger part out. And so they make it seem like I'm talking about John O'Keefe, which would be like, oh, you're intimidating him about John O'Keefe. It's like, no, I'm asking about an unrelated murder that Chris was involved in 31 years ago, for which he admitted guilt and served prison time. I guess I didn't know it was intimidation to bring that up, even not in the presence of Chris Albert. Not even realizing Chris Albert was eavesdropping on me the entire time. Like, he's sitting at home watching me for some reason, which is just creepy. I mean, that's just so creepy that this guy has done that. And I've talked to multiple people unprovoked who have gone down to the Canton Police Department and filed reports and complaints that they have been wiretapped by Chris Albert. Nobody had any idea that when they were walking down that street, that Chris Albert is sitting at home listening to their private conversations. That's a major, so it's not just me, like, because these idiots on Twitter, they're like, oh, well, you go up to people and you stick their you tape them. It's like, well, first of all, the camera's in plain sight, which case law has already decided is, sufficient warning that you were being audio and video recorded if somebody has a camera in your face. And, so
not on security cameras on places. They're not supposed to have audio. As a matter of fact, I think I said to you, Michael, don't take a video off Twitter that had the audio, because that could be considered repeating of the wiretap, publishing, and also be a violation. So I think I mentioned that. So that's why we don't have the real.
Good thing you did the meme then.
Yeah, okay. That's why we.
So that was on purpose.
One of us is a lawyer. Both of us are lawyers, but one of us has some experience, because this wiretap law is very, for people that don't do anything wrong, can be very inclusive. For like, you listen to a crime, you hear a crime on something, and then you go tell the police about the crime. You get charged with the wiretap. Okay,
I've been charged with wiretapping before. Like I have a felony wiretapping charge right now. I've previously had the Holden police file a criminal complaint against me. I had a woman who was calling me up, threatening me. She sent the police to my house, and she said that I had a gun in my mouth at 2 a.m. and had me swatted. And she would call me all the time and harass me, and I would start taping her for evidence. And I brought that to police, and they filed a criminal complaint against me.
There you go.
So it's we live in the state. I don't agree with the law personally. I don't agree with two-party consent laws, but it is the law. And if they're going to be such sticklers with this witness intimidation statute, then you need to be consistent across the board with all laws. Or, as I would propose, we all just drop the charges against everybody. Nobody has any charges. I don't have charges. You don't have charges. We all just say we're grown-ups here, and we don't send each other to jail because our feelings got hurt. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Scooter 54 is a new member. Thank you. Also, please subscribe to Aiden's channel. We're going to put that up. And also another Kimber Linneo 15 new member. Again, also please subscribe to Aiden's channel. We're going to put that up.
Aiden, I think you would agree there's not a chance in hell that's happening.
That it's going to be dropped?
Yeah, that all of these weird charges are just going to be dropped. Just forget it.
No, this latest new one, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I don't want to count my chickens, but this is we're going to file a motion to dismiss with this one.
Good.
hopefully going to be heard in front of Judge Walsh, the same judge that dropped the rubber ducky things. And, I mean, come on, talking into a freaking camera. I mean, this is supposed to be, courtrooms are supposed to be serious places. This is a joke. They're turning the courtrooms into comedy shows. And so hopefully he has the wisdom to see through this and drop the rest of them, though. They're not, we there's a motion to dismiss pending right now.
Right.
Those could get dropped, by Judge Doolin. And I think, I'm optimistic about his attitude the other day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because I was in court that day, and that was the official motion to dismiss, and then it kind of got derailed when they started to add this additional charge from the night before, and so the court has still not ruled on that.
Yeah. So it's been today's Wednesday. Yeah. So it's been a week.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the longer the better, because that means that the judge is thinking about this and writing something. I mean, dismissals are easy. Dismissals are a lot easier to write, or denials are easier to write than, allowing things, like in order to allow this motion to dismiss, he's got to come up with, he's got to write a lot. In order to deny it, you've seen with Bev, it's easy to deny something. So hopefully for our sake, that's what he's doing, is he's coming, because this is unprecedented. This has never happened before. And so he's really going to have to research and figure out who's right and who's wrong. But I don't know about you, but I think that based on the questions that he was asking to my attorneys and to Cosgrove, I think those indicated that he seems to think this is bogus too.
Yeah. And I know you focused on a couple that were really thin, and even Cosgrove admitted, yeah, those are maybe close to the line. Those are the shittiest of the shitty. You know?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, that one's kind of bullshit. That one's tough for me to defend.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, sure. Buchanan is, he's a big, strong guy or whatever, but they had signs. They were calling him a loser. They were calling him Bukaki loser. He had his feelings hurt, just because he's big and strong doesn't mean he can't be intimidated. That's not, you could tell he didn't feel comfortable making that argument. If I were him, it's like, I still don't understand why he's taking this case, because he's already got 2 pensions. We call him triple dip Cosgrove. And he's 74 years old. He's retired. Why would you want to come out of retirement to take this case of all cases? I don't understand that.
Yeah, Olivia now puts, imagine what a crazy standard it would be if our laws were all determined by the alleged victim and not by the commission or action of the alleged perpetrator.
Yeah,
so
sounds like
bingo.
Oppo states.
Yeah. Bingo. Now, but intimidation, we all kind of know what it is, and we kind of got ahead of ourselves. But let's there's a famous movie. A lot of people watching weren't born when it was run yet. Michael, do we have a clip from that?
Oh yeah, this is we do, but our tech guy is horrible. So let me see if he can get this figured out here. Hold on.
It kind of won
here somewhere.
There you go.
That's not good. The old horse has had. That's witness intimidation.
That's intimidation, my friend.
That's from The Godfather, as everyone knows. That's
right.
The old horse has said. And the reason why I say that is because we were reading the Atlantic article, and Michael's going to talk more about that. But there's one section that just, it dropped me on my tush about intimidation, and I created a pink PowerPoint slide.
You really make me work here. Hold on a second.
I'm making my screen partner work. I'm so sorry. All right.
So this is from the article.
This is from the article. Such a great article if you haven't read it. And this, I never. Who's ever talked about this except for read it in the article. Your mom had died over the weekend as a jury was deliberating, and sorry to hear that. We all, no matter what is expected when your mother dies, it's not a pleasant thing. And then your dad wakes up in the morning of the weekend at your parents' house, and finds at 8:30 that morning, one of Carney's brothers had stepped out of the house and found a large turtle, because you're called Dr. Turtleboy, hanging by its neck on a rope from the porch railing. It was dead. The turtle, what appeared to be a gunshot wound, had what appeared to be a gunshot wound in the back of the shell, according to the police report, and an exit wound near its belly. That is, excuse me, effing intimidation, my friends. That's witness intimidation. That's journalist intimidation. That's intimidation.
And I'm sure they're all over that, Aiden, right? They're all over that.
I mean, the
got
Worcester
suspects.
police, in fairness, did a pretty thorough job. They went up and down. They knocked on every door in the neighborhood, asked for ring camera video, all the things that didn't happen in the investigation of John O'Keefe's death. This turtle got more justice than John O'Keefe did. But unfortunately, the comment the detective made to me was, I've never seen a neighborhood with less ring camera videos than your parents' street. Like it was like devoid of them. And I had a suspect. I had a guy that I thought was crazy enough to do it. They looked into him. They supposedly subpoenaed his Lyft. He doesn't have a car or a license, so he takes Lyfts and Ubers everywhere. And so I think that they got those records, and I don't know what they found. He was never arrested, so I'm convinced to this day is this guy. I don't know if he could just be a crazy. This guy who did it is not doing it because he's a McAlbert. He's just a crazy person. So that could, but either way, I'm still a witness. You know what I mean? It's
right. And either way, this is what the statute is for. Something like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for bullshit.
Yes, it's not for bullshit. Yeah. It's for perhaps when Chris Albert tells me on video on June 23rd outside of CF McCarthy's that he's going to smash my head up and down the sidewalk. That's what he told me on video. Then I was assaulted by one of his employees, Jim Ferris, and another one of his employees by his sister-in-law, Jill Daniels. And I spoke with the special prosecutor about this 2 days ago, or it might have been yesterday. And I was, they're offering them pretrial probation. That's what they're offering them, and they're going to accept that. So not even a quaff they're going to get for this. And I said, why are they getting off so easy for this? And well, they gave us a lot of stuff in discovery, some, videos of you and stuff like that. It's like, so let me get this straight. So because I'm provocative and controversial, it's okay. You can just assault me. You can hit me in the middle of the street. You can assault me. You can take my camera. You can do whatever I want because, I'm not sympathetic. So it's okay to do that. And so there really are, two tiers of justice in this. I was actually, speaking of witness intimidation, on January 6, 2023, I went to a hearing in West Roxbury District Court for a woman named Catherine Peter. We call her Krusty Panties. And I was there because she had been violating a restraining order that my friend Lauren Murray had on her. And I went to go support Lauren. And on my way out of the courthouse, Kay Peter was there with her boyfriend, who she had warned me on videos that she was going to bring, and said, don't come to the courthouse. And on video, I'm taping them on the way out. And Andrew Johnson, her boyfriend, pushes me down a flight of stairs on video, just pushes me, attacks me, and it's all on video. I go right to the Boston police, and they review the tapes, and they file a criminal complaint immediately for assault and battery. Probable cause is found. He's charged. And then his court-appointed defense attorney asked for, and to me, this is not only assault, witness intimidation. And his court-appointed attorney asked for the original video. Okay. The original video that I shot it on my phone. Okay. And the Suffolk County DA's office, for whatever reason, acquiesces and it's like, we'll get it to you. And the problem is that after that, I was arrested and the police took my phone. And even with a court order from this judge in West Roxbury District Court to hand the phone over, the Norfolk County District Attorney's office just ignored them. It basically told them to pound sand, and the charges were dropped as a result of that, because they didn't have my original phone that I filmed this assault on. Like the video itself was not good enough. They needed the phone that it was, filmed on, and, got a charge. So like I know this is how the criminal justice system works in Massachusetts. It's incredibly lenient. We're notorious. It's a liberal state, right? But except with me and with Karen Reed, like with us, it's archaic in old school. Like I feel like I'm back in the Tower of London or something. Like it's like I can't look in the camera without being charged with a felony.
You mentioned, some of these different events in which you were the victim, right? And I want you to explain some video here that I think this was about a year ago. This was out in front of, I think, in the same general area of D&E Pizza. And a woman comes up to you.
Jill Daniels.
Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the incident. That's Jill Daniels.
Let me see if I can get that here. Because she's in your face.
Yeah, she takes my camera. She assaults me.
Let me see. I'm going to zoom
All right.
How'd you pay your tax bill?
All right, so we're down here at CF McCarthy's. Who are you?
Who am I? You know who the fuck I am?
Listen,
Who am I?
Which one are you?
You don't know who I am?
Which one's that?
I think he's the older Albert. Chris
The mustache?
Albert Jr., I think, right?
Oh, Albert Jr.? Is that? Oh, gotcha. I didn't. The mustache. You guys seem really intimidated. You guys seem really intimidated. You guys seem really intimidated. And do what? I don't want to scare him. I don't want to intimidate him. I don't want to intimidate him. I don't want to scare you guys. I don't want to scare you guys. I know you guys are really scared of me. I don't want to scare anybody. We're doing this for our own protection. We don't want to be anyone. We don't want to scare you guys.
Did you call the police?
Oh, not yet.
I mean, we were.
But
should we just?
no. We're gonna call the police. So if you guys just got here, we got it all on film. I was just assaulted by Jim Farris. He assaulted me, and we got it all on video. And now the McAlberts are down here telling me they're gonna kick my ass or something like that, harassing me, calling me a pussy. We'll see. There's Colin's talking. He's got a lot. I'm glad he's not intimidated at least. I'm glad he's not intimidated at least. So yeah, we got there. I'm surprised to see Ryan down here like this. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And I didn't say shit. I'm not protesting. I'm just trying to eat a meal. We just went in here. We went in here to CF McCarthy's and we ate dinner. Okay? We ate dinner. And then all of a sudden we got assaulted by these goons on video. These guys who claim to be so scared. We're just trying to eat. We're just trying to eat a meal of food. We're just trying to eat a meal of food. Again, this is wild shit, man. Can you believe this is happening, dude? What are they like? This is wild. These guys, they prove me right every single time. Every time, baby. Every time. I hope you're ready to hear the words "not guilty," right? Get ready for the words "not guilty." Not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. Get used to those words. You're going to hear it this week. Not guilty. 3 times you're going to hear that shit. Not guilty. Not guilty. Get ready. Get ready. It's coming. So anyway.
Where are the Cam police now?
Yeah, did you call them? Yeah. So they called the cops.
They don't come.
Yeah, they called the cops, I guess. We got it all on video. I got assaulted by Jim Farris. He came up and assaulted me on video. He smelled like shit too. He smells exactly what you would imagine he smells like. So
he did.
They're all over here. I don't know. We're just trying to eat dinner. We went in here to eat a nice meal of food.
Walk out on a sidewalk.
Come outside.
I think the fans wanting pictures triggered.
What's up? It's just the McAlberts being assholes again. That's what they do. We're just trying to eat food. I just wanted to eat a meal of food in peace. It was lovely. It was really good. I really liked the dinner here. And I heard the food was good at CF McCarthy, so I wanted to eat the food. I'm not bothering anyone. So I am filming this for my own protection right now. My own production. Own protection. That's what I'm doing right now. So that's it. So I don't want to scare them because these are the people that claim they're intimidated by me. We're out here harassing me, just assaulted me. These people claim they're so scared and they're so intimidated by little old me. Little old me. No.
Yeah, we're the cops.
That's took not about what they 15 told the minutes to police. get there.
That's not what they told the police.
That's a good spot for.
So I mean, that's good. I'm glad you said that, though. I'm glad you said that. No one's scared. My lawyer's gonna love that one.
No,
My lawyer's gonna love that
he
one.
was just assaulted, so why would we have a
I mean, your goons just assaulted me. Yeah, assaulted. Yeah, when you hit.
Yeah, he assaulted me. I was hit.
I know. I'm so little, bro. I'm so little. I'm so little. I know. I'm so little. I know. I get it. I know. Well, I feel like I'm something. I feel like I'm something because you guys know who I am. You guys know who I am. I'm a pedophile. Okay.
What,
Sure
they
thing.
said you're a pedophile?
Sure thing. So they seem really scared. There's Chris Albert doing nothing and doing nothing to calm people down. I mean, we were just minding our. So we were just trying to mind our own business.
No, I don't think many
Take a
people
picture of
have seen this.
I took a picture, yeah.
They have, but we're trying to bring this out to
Taking a picture is instigating?
This is ridiculous. This is a double standard justice.
Taking a picture?
And what I want to ask
So
you...
So what? So what? What did I do? He came up to us.
Okay, you want to squeeze a question in here, Linda? Because we're going to get to the part. There's a car that pulls up at the curb.
That's
right?
what before that.
Okay.
Isn't John O'Keefe getting lost and all? Isn't this supposed to be about how we investigated John O'Keefe's death, whether it was a crime or an accident, not a crime? And then yet we're dealing with all this because why? Everyone believes Karen Reed is being treated unfairly, or a lot of people do. And then as a result, you get assaulted only because you're doing your journalistic duties. And before the car pulls up, I just wanted to get that in.
I was just trying to eat a meal of food. I'm just hungry.
At some point, then you started streaming this live, right?
Yeah, that's what you're watching.
Yeah. That was after the assault, or right when the assault happened?
So right after the assault happened, I decided to start streaming it. There's another angle. You can see them assault me. Jim Ferris comes over with Chris Albert Sr. and Chris Albert Jr., hits the phone out of my hand into the middle of the street. I pick it up. I start streaming. And just to kind of protect myself, because I didn't want any of them saying, "Oh, he's intimidating us." Like, nope, just trying to eat a meal of food. And then Jill Daniels rolls.
There's your friend.
Yeah,
I wanted to zoom to that part. Let me.
Oh yeah.
Let her go to her full glory here.
You got to rewind it more when she first.
A little bit more. A little bit more back.
You got to get the entrance. You got to get when she first gets there. It's priceless.
Okay.
There we go.
Is that about right? Okay.
Wade.
You are supposed to be a representative.
That's the chairman of the Board of Selectmen right there.
He's not a chairman.
Whatever he is. He's on the Board of Selectmen.
Canton, so they're not allowed.
It's an elected official.
I am a resident of Canton.
This guy, look.
He just said we're not from Canton, so we're not allowed.
We're not allowed in
You're
here.
supposed to be representing.
So I guess this is what happens. I literally got assaulted. Yeah.
Okay, they're not coming to your family.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to call, Kristen? Did you get a chance to call?
I did. They're on their way.
Oh, they are. Cool.
They're on their way.
All right. So I did. It was pretty fun. I didn't kill anyone, though. I didn't kill anyone, Chris. Justice for Peter Berger. Justice for Peter Berger.
Just walk the fuck away. Get off the floor. No, I'm talking about
Is he pointing to the camera? Is that what?
No, he's pointing to the D&E.
police.
Okay. He's pointing to the D&E pizza sign. This is us.
Get off the floor.
You need to step on a scale, he says it. You look like a dude.
No, because I want it all documented. Because when they try to put I want to be fucking covered. You think I give a shit? What did I do? I fucking live in this town.
Well, we don't need to. Yeah, don't even get into it with him. Don't even get into it with him.
How has this been going on 15 minutes now and no police still with this?
We'll find out.
I just called them.
So we are filming for our own protection. Here
she comes. She's about to come.
Oh, look who it is. Look who's here. Here she is.
You know what? I'm so sick of shit.
That's number 2.
I'm sick of your shit. Okay? Enough is enough. You're a prick. Can I have my phone?
Looks like you held on to the phone that time, right?
She held onto the phone.
Oh, she's
holding it.
Fuck off.
Fuck off.
You're a fucking nerd. You look fatter than me. Boom.
Boom.
Where's your top lip? And I'm sorry. Didn't you go loopy? Didn't you go crazy? Shut the fuck up.
I'm like, can I have my phone back?
she's a charmer.
Go ahead and give him his phone.
Give my phone back. Okay. Okay, so that just happened. That just happened. That just happened.
Piece of shit. I have wrinkles. I don't care, but guess what? I have a good heart.
You have a great heart.
Prick. You're going to jail, and I cannot wait. And guess what? You're going to be without a boyfriend because this prick is going to jail.
I mean, I'll be with my boyfriend longer than you will. You're just gonna die.
Okay, don't even worry about it. She's not worried. This is a try. Just let her talk. Just let her talk. Just let her talk. Just let her talk.
You're the one yelling right
Just
now.
let her talk. Don't
Guess
even
what?
talk
He's cheating
back.
on
Don't
you.
even talk back. Don't even talk back. Don't even talk back. Who are you yelling at?
Who are you? Like, look at you. How many times you got punched in the nose?
I don't know.
Your teeth, you make fun of my teeth. Yours are chicken.
No, it's mostly your skin, but okay.
My skin, I
Yeah.
have wrinkles. I don't care.
Yeah,
Guess
I mean-
what? I stick up for my family. How many siblings do you have? Has anyone stuck up for you?
A bunch.
No, they don't like you.
They don't?
like
Okay,
you.
if you say so.
You guys can all tape me. Like, why are you taping me?
I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why anyone would want to tape
so
you.
sick of
Your
you
behavior
harassing
is
my
normal.
family.
No one's harassing anyone. I'm just trying to eat dinner.
Why are you here?
Because I'm hungry. Because they serve food in here.
Why are you here to cause trouble?
Because I want food. Because when you're hungry, you eat food.
Well, why don't you just leave everyone alone?
I am. I'm just trying to eat food.
Why are you out here?
Because I got assaulted by Jim Farris. We're walking out. Some people asked me to take pictures, and next thing you know, Jim Farris comes up to me and assaults me. You drove up here. Look at this shit. You're double parking because they killed John O'Keefe.
No, they did
Yes,
not.
they did. They obviously killed John O'Keefe.
No, they did not.
I was not there, but Colin was. I did not kill John O'Keefe.
Are you guys coming?
Like,
So
we'll see.
He got assaulted. He got assaulted again, and his phone was.
I mean, that's why Ryan said that he didn't see John O'Keefe was not in the car or outside the car.
Thank you.
Like, that's why he testified that.
Care. You didn't
So,
know,
Here's
John.
the cop.
we got that on
There
video,
we go.
right?
Yes, I.
Okay. We got.
What? What?
So,
You can tape me all you want. I don't care.
no, we're not going to tape. I'm just going to tell the cops what happened.
I don't
Yeah,
wanna
keep
stop
going,
it.
keep
You're
going.
fucking dick.
Keep
Go
going.
fucking-
Yeah, that's basically it.
Why you?
Yeah. So, and tell folks who she is. She's, in my opinion, she's kind of a peripheral character.
Well, that's Jill. That's Jill Daniels. She is the sister of Julie Albert, the sister-in-law of Chris Albert, the aunt and godmother of Colin Albert. She is a very outspoken and, as you can see, out of control
Wow.
McAlbert. She is not a witness in the trial at all, but she is a very loud person on social media. She makes a lot of fake accounts and trolls people all day. And, she was assault. So she was charged with that. A month later, she got charged again with assault and battery in Falmouth at this bar called Shipwrecked, because according to the police report, she was once again recognized from the CF McCarthy's incident because she's famous now. And they're like, people were razzed like, you're Jill Daniels, you're the crazy lady. And she proved them right, and she lost it again. And she assaulted an elderly woman who happened to be a manager there. She was over 60. So that counts as like assault and battery on an age person 60 or over. It's a different category of a crime.
Oh, that's
And-
good to know. That's elderly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
keep
guess
that handy.
yeah, we won't call it elderly. We'll call it over 60. And so she got charged with that. So she's just out of control. And that's how they're acting in broad daylight, sober, with cameras around, cars everywhere. Imagine what they're like behind closed doors after having a few drinks. You know how emboldened they are.
So put a bow on that for us. Anything happened to her or the other assault?
So she was charged in my case, and like I said about a few minutes ago, I was contacted by the special prosecutor with that one. First of all, she wasn't initially charged. We had to have a criminal complaint hearing, which I didn't get. I didn't get a clerk magistrate's hearing. I just got charges right away.
Right.
No probable cause was necessary to establish with me, but with her, even though it's on video, we had to establish probable cause. Probable cause was established. It took 2 months for the clerk magistrate to determine that, and now there's a special prosecutor on it, and I was contacted yesterday and basically told that they are going to offer her pretrial probation. And they said, I know you were hoping for at least a continuance without a finding with this, but that's not going to happen here. And I said, why not? And they said, well, because we're going to get stay away orders on them, but they sent us some stuff in discovery. And I said, what stuff did they send you in discovery? Well, we can't talk about that. We can't tell you you're a witness in this case. Of like, well, doesn't stop the Norfolk DA's office from, informing Jennifer McCabe. She knows you'll see more stuff's going to come out about that. I don't want to say too much, but in this case, they're like, we can't tell you. We can't tell you. And I know what discovery they got. I guarantee you, I've made fun of Jill Daniels a million times on my show before. I called her once and got her on the phone, and she called me a turtle douche and like started screaming at me. It was hilarious content in August of 2023. And so I guarantee they send those in and they're like, yo, this guy's a provocateur. He deserved, it's okay. You're allowed to hit him because
you deserve it.
I deserve it. It's reactive. You know what I mean? If he wasn't making her so upset, then she wouldn't hit him in the first place. That's literally the class that they've created. I am the least sympathetic, defendant and victim that they've ever come across. And for that reason, they throw the book at me over nothing. And they, when I'm actually the victim of a crime, they're like, well, it's kind of okay because you're kind of a douche.
From her rant, hold on, let me finish this, Linda. From her rant, I'm guessing you made fun of her skin or something.
Well, that's what she goes. She goes, you make fun of my teeth. I'm like, actually, it's your skin, but okay, because she's a hard 44. She's 40.
She looks like she's lived a life.
She graduated the same year as Karen Reed, which is remarkable, and she's lived a tough. That's a hard 44 years. That's a Canton 44 if I've ever seen one.
Okay. Sorry, Linda, go ahead.
No. What happened to the other charge with the woman who was allegedly assaulted in the bar?
That one is still, as far as I know, ongoing in Falmouth. I think she had a court hearing for it the other day. I'm not sure what they're doing with that, but nothing's going to happen. It's Massachusetts. Like nobody ever gets in trouble around here. I mean, I'm just so used to this state being so lenient with criminals, except me. Except in Karen Reed, like I said, for us, they throw the book at us or rubber ducky people or anyone who supports this cause.
Right.
They get
Canton
the book
9. We learned about the Canton 9, right? And
yeah.
There's a young man who was under 18 years old who, got arrested, right?
Yes, participating in a political protest. This is stuff we should be encouraging 17-year-olds to do. Becoming active members of their community, having strong opinions about matters of public concern, whether or not you agree with him or not. And instead of sitting at home, playing video games, smoking pot, rotting his brain, he's out there being active, getting involved in something, and they decide they're going to jam him up with a felony charge. I mean, it's outrageous. These people are animals.
If I'm a taxpayer, I'm pissed off that they're devoting MSP resources to this, to 9 people walking around with the Free Karen Reed sign.
I am too, but in fairness, the police are getting paid no matter what. What we should be more outraged by is that we're paying Hank Brennan and Robert Cosgrove to do this because they're not paid. That's not factored into the budget. These special prosecutors, like Adam Lally doing this. Adam Lally was getting paid anyway. He's getting his salary anyway, but Hank Brennan, that's an extra addition to this. So I'm not a math major and I don't know how the intricacies of the budget works, but if you're paying him $250,000, that comes from somewhere. Sure. Something else is getting cut, $250,000 less because of this. And that should outrage everyone.
So what's your take on Hank Brennan?
How did he get hired? How did he get hired?
That's a great question. And I wish some reporters would ask that question.
We just did.
Well, you got to ask the DA that though. You know what I mean? This district attorney has never held a press conference. I've never seen him in the flesh. It's remarkable. District attorneys love the camera traditionally. Like Rachel Rollins never saw a camera that she didn't like. She went on Howie Carr all the time. And, she was not afraid of anything or anybody. Joe Early held a press conference with the Enrique Delgado thing. That's what DAs do. Morrissey's never done that. And so reporters, traditionally would find them and ask him, you have, I believe, 40 or 50 ADAs on your payroll. Why aren't you having one of them do this as opposed to Hank Brennan? There's no conflict here. With me, at least there's a conflict. They have to have a special prosecutor with me. But with Karen Reed, there is no conflict. So there's no reason that your office can't do this. And if you're going to have a special prosecutor do it, they should be completely independent of you. How is the Norfolk DA's paws are all over this? Lally and McLaughlin are sitting right there. Morrissey's signature is on every motion. How is this? So basically what they're saying is that everyone who works for the Norfolk ADA's office is just too mediocre to do the job and too vanilla, like Adam Lally. What we need is a scummy mob lawyer who can get a little creative and maybe try a different angle, be a little scummy. And that's all Hank Brennan has lived up to, his scummy reputation. His entire plan has been basically to make sure that Karen Reed is not allowed to have any expert witnesses, that she is, he just takes things, tries to get her parents' phone records and goes on these fishing expeditions, tries to tie her to me. He's got nothing. He's hiring a meteorologist to tell us that the ground was harder than a rock. I mean, this is his plan. So let's see how it works out for him.
Well, one of the things I thought initially was perhaps they had him because of the federal investigation, that they needed to have some people in the office interviewed, but then that doesn't make any sense, because then, as you point out, everybody would have to be out, right? Everyone would have to be out.
Everyone would have to be out, right. It's like, but
right.
So it's not really a special prosecutor. It's just a hired gun, who he's a free agent. That's all he is. It's like, it's not like you're trading away your assets. You're just going and signing, the nice shiny object, like bringing in Manny Ramirez or something. I mean, that's what this is. It's just bringing in a hired gun to do a job because he's fancier than all the tools at your disposal.
And you got the guy that did such a shitty job sitting at the table, which I don't, sit in the corner with the dunce cap on. I mean,
it's the legal version of getting cucked. Like, he's sitting there watching a real man do the job that he can't do. I mean, how humiliating is that? It's like, you were doing this 8 months ago, Lally, and you got benched, and then they made you sit there and watch the other guy do it. Like, and bring him his sandwich. Make sure his coffee is nice and warm. Okay. Make sure his tea is freshened. Okay. Lally, get in there like that. I sit in court and I watch them, and Lally sits in the middle of them. At least Laura McLaughlin has her computer. She's doing stuff. He just sits there and stares the entire time. He just sits there and stares. And he's like thinking, I can't wait to get home to my plain cheese sandwich. It's going to be good today. I really can't wait to get home to my cheese sandwich. So
might get pimento
Adam
loaf
Lally.
today.
Right. Yeah. It's like, that's Adam. I mean, it's just with his hair gel. It's like, how humiliating, how much humiliation can a man take?
Yeah. Well, as you know, I tried a case against Alan Jackson, Spectre 1. I had the hung jury, and we respect each other a lot. Alan's a great attorney, and I think he thinks the same of me. But I think they thought they needed somebody to come in and counter Alan. And I have seen that, at least in my opinion, the last 3 weeks, Hank Brennan has done like a bit of a turnaround. She's gotten the judge to distrust the defense, right? Initially he said, well, the defense didn't give me this. And then it turns out they did give him that. And then Yannetti did this, and it turns out Yannetti didn't do that. But in the meantime, the judge is like, oh, this kind of like scummy defense. I'm not sure I can trust them anymore, right? Because I think they may have misrepresented to me. And to me, that's tainted by having all this in open without doing it in private and then releasing the transcripts later. And judges could do that. It's kind of tainted the defense. And by the way, it's tainting Karen Reed. And that, I think, is a real issue. I think that's a real problem. I think that's what he's done.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, his goal is to do what the defense did, because he's jealous of them in the first trial, and that is use the media to his advantage. He's trying to get it out there, like with this the ARCA guys were paid for. They were you guys bribed them to say, who cares? I don't care if the ARCA guys were paid $1 million, right? The question is, did they lie when they said that John O'Keefe's injuries are inconsistent with the motor vehicle collision? As long as that is a true statement of fact, it doesn't matter how much money they got paid, right? Are they suggesting that those guys, gave testimony because they were paid? If not, then what are we even debating here?
Yeah, I know it does give me grave concern. So
grave concern. Yeah,
I'm glad they finally.
Of all the things that she could have grave concerns about, yes. That's the first thing you have grave. You didn't have grave concerns about the butt dials or the fact that Proctor, there's text messages, the fact there's a lot of things to have grave concerns about with this trial. And of all the things, some emails with ARCA, it's just like she can't even hide it. Her allowing in this YouTube dog guy who is not a medical doctor too. It's like, dude, you're the one that came up with the rule that only medical doctors can opine on causations of injuries.
Yeah. That was
And
that the
now-
Rensselaer
That was
decision?
Rensselaer. Yeah. She's like, you can talk about this, but you can't talk about that because you're not a medical doctor. Well, this guy's a YouTube doctor, and apparently he gets to be Doogie Howser now, and he gets to tell us like how John O'Keefe got how his injuries came from a dog because he took a molding of what he claims was Chloe. I guess he found a German Shepherd that bit into a loaf of bread, and he's going to match those holes up with the scrapes on his arm. I can't wait to see this pseudoscience.
I think the cross is going to be a very, very fun time. It's just
as I say, and I rail on the show all the time, forensic odontology is a real issue when it comes to human bite marks. I mean, so many people have been exonerated on that. Many courts don't accept it anymore. And here in Massachusetts, which, by the way, has some pretty good decisions from the Massachusetts High Court, I call it, because most people don't understand that, if it's not called the Supreme Court, it's not the Supreme Court, about, whether there's a real science in the courtroom. For instance, you can't say somebody talking about ballistics is a scientist, there's a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. But here we're going to let in this junk science when it comes to a dog matching bite marks.
And without any hearing, no hearing, where poor Dr. Russell has to go through 2 days of Lanigan and get beat up for the judge to say, it's a close call, but we're going to let it in. And then this Crosby guy just waltzes in.
Sure, you're in. And the meteorologist, I assume he's going to be in too. They're not going to have a problem getting any of these people in. I would love it personally. I hope he puts me on that list. It seems like he's kind of like, it does seem like he is, I mean, if you're going to start opening this door up about, Karen Reed, consciousness of guilt, conspiring with Turtleboy to commit witness intimidation, I mean, wouldn't the next logical step be to call me? I mean, but I think that would be a grave error on his part.
Man, that would be fun. And
but he gets to keep Michael. He gets to keep him out of the courtroom if that motion's granted.
He does.
Okay,
That's
so
true.
remember, there's that.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good trade.
That would be awesome. I would. Oh my God, Hank does not want to do that. Please, Spanky, please call me as a witness.
So let's talk about the whole cell phone interaction that they're claiming creates this consciousness of guilt. What they're saying is that over a period of time, you and Karen Reed back and forth, contacting one another, and somehow that was orchestrating some cover story, and therefore it represents her consciousness of guilt. What's your take on all of that, and whether it's going to actually come in?
Someone's called a journalist, and Karen Reed is the subject of my reporting. And I had access to the subject of my reporting that every other reporter wishes they had, Karen, that I was able to get interviews, on some and some off the record with Karen Reed. And of course, I'm going to publish information that she is willing to give me on the record. Okay. And so if she tells me something off the record and says this is not for publication, then I'm ethically bound not to report that. This is age-old journalistic tactics that they have tried to make sound nefarious because they've taken some text messages in which she tells me this is not for publication. You can't share this. You can't share this. Here's some information for you should know about. Blah, blah. Okay, cool. Because there was some stuff that she didn't give me anything that was like under protective order or whatever, but she gave me some discovery that was not public yet. Right. And all that would do, the worst outcome that could happen if that had been known was that, they could file a motion that all like what Hank did, like that everything needs to be impounded prior to, every time you file a motion. Right. So that's the worst. Nothing was illegal about any of this. It was just like, for one thing, she gave me the 911 tape. I had the 911 tape way before anyone else did. And, that was not under any protective order or anything like that, but it was also not in any motions. And so when I actually didn't play it, somebody else ended up getting it and they played it. So I'm like, oh, I guess we got a green light now. So I shared it too. So that's one example of something that she gave me, which was off the record. I did not have her permission to use that. And there's nothing illegal about that.
Right. It seems to me there's nothing illegal, and you can have as many conversations you want with somebody who's a subject that you're writing on as a source anyhow. I mean, it's ridiculous to now put that into the terms of this is a crime. This is ridiculous. In my opinion, it's ridiculous. But then why does Why does the judge seem to like adopt all this in Massachusetts? Why is there such a disdain? Somebody asked, making account for like Alan Jackson, for AJ, for instance.
Because she sucks. Because she's a hack. I mean, she's the hackorama. She's the face of the Massachusetts hackorama, as Howie Carr calls it. She is the modern day, government stooge who, collects a hefty salary off the taxpayers, is completely mediocre, does the bidding of, the powers that be, and, just goes along with whatever, believes police no matter what, and prosecutors. And we've seen it on full display, in her courtroom. And the main when they first arrested me, I didn't understand what they were doing. I'm like, what is their goal here? I'm like, they know this isn't going anywhere, and this is just going to build my profile, right? So why are they doing this? And then, eventually I figured it out. It's like the whole purpose of this was to jam me up with felonies and then use that as a pretext to get in my phone, see my communications, right? And see that I'm talking to Karen Reed and say, look she's talking to a guy who's got 16 felony charges for witness intimidation. So she's bad by association, because why is she talking to this bad guy? This guy's obviously is a bad guy. He's got 16 felonies. The good people don't get charged with 16 felonies. So that was the whole purpose of arresting me, was to just kind of smear my reputation as a villain. And then that in turn damages the reputation of Karen Reed for associating with me. It's also dubious. I mean, this is like literally what their plan was.
Great plan. So do you think the judge is complicit then, basically, in this master plan to protect one's own, to protect the cop contingent, that she's in on it, or she just leans that way, or what?
Nah, they just got lucky. I mean, I don't think Beverly Kenney is in on anything necessarily, that she's part of any conspiracy. She's just a hack. That's all she is. She's a useless government stooge who is going to go along to get along. Is one thing Auntie Bev is cowardly, like more than anything. Like she is. I told people from the beginning, when they were worried that Alan Jackson's going to get kicked off to have his Pro Hoc Vice taken away, I'm like, she's not going to do that, because that takes balls. Auntie Bev has no balls. She is a coward. She does not have the minerals to do something unprecedented like that. She is and that's why she doesn't have the minerals to drop these charges. She doesn't have the minerals to stand up to the police and stand up to the hold the district attorney's office accountable. She doesn't like doing that. She likes her very colloquial, provincial, small town Norfolk County. She's a townie. She resents the fact this hotshot California and New York attorney, Alessi and Little and Jackson, are coming into her courtroom and being all California on the steps of her courthouse. She's like, who does this guy think he is? Sure, he makes 10 times what I make, but I'm Beverly Kenney. I'm a judge in this county. This is my home. And you could tell she's offended by this guy. And she's like, we do things a certain way here in Norfolk County. When people object to something, we don't have to say the reason why, because that's just how things are done here. God damn it. And it's the way that things have been done since Sacco and Vanzetti. So why change? We are the most conservative and archaic state in the country when it comes to criminal justice.
So speaking about the federal investigation, are you able to tell us whether you were interviewed as part of that investigation?
My attorneys spoke with an FBI agent, and I had brief contact with them before I went to jail because I had found out some information about Brian Tully and his relationship with Jennifer McCabe on December 23rd. Unfortunately, I had a warrant out for my arrest the next day, so I wasn't able to do much with that. But so my lawyer did speak with them. The feds listen. They don't say much, that's the thing. It's like they never let you know what they're doing, but they listen. And, right. My lawyer said that when he talked to the FBI, it always came back to the Reed case. Like they were interested in my story, but they were more interested in how it pertained to the Reed case. And so they were very interested in Karen's case. They spent a lot of time and resources on that. They know what happened. They're not stupid. They know that Karen Reed did not kill John O'Keefe with that car. And I'm sure they would have liked to arrest or indict somebody for this, but they don't show their cards, and they don't indict people. unless they have a sure shot of a conviction. And that's hard to do at this point without any blood, without any DNA. Everything's gone. The evidence is gone. So like they've had plenty of time here. The chance to get the bad guys has come and gone. And so it's very hard to convict anyone of this now. And that's what really should outrage everyone.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
I was going to ask if you could follow up on that one. I'll allow it. Just ask it a different way.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say, why do you think Judge Bev is pushing for April 1st like this? What is the deal?
She just likes to be in charge. She's just like, no, I said April 1st, so we're doing April 1st, and you're not going to delay this with all, we're not going to get too caught up in this. We're going to do this. God damn it. I have a hair appointment on March 31st. So I'm going to get nice and
Linda,
pretty.
that's all right. You're okay with that.
We have this thing with, never mind.
But yeah,
I
think she just wants to get it started, I think she wants to get this over with. Doesn't want any more delays. I think she's probably a little sick of this being in her courtroom and wants it over with. But then again, this could have been over with after first of all, she could have dismissed this whenever she wanted. And she also could have pressed the jury and said, well, did you guys acquit on all the charges, or are you hung on all the charges?
That just drives me crazy that one simple question was never asked.
Never asked, and they would have all gladly asked.
And the Massachusetts legislature should fix this to help her from screwing up again, and that is just have a jury instruction that says very clearly if there are multiple counts and you come to a unanimous decision on one or all, that you can advise the court, or that is a verdict on one or all. That there's no instruction, and then there's no help from Bev. And this thing would have ended.
This must have happened before. This can't be the first case like this. But again, she has no command of her courtroom. She is mediocre. She is, not somebody who inspires control or confidence in her courtroom. Like early on, watch some of the pretrial stuff, like with the Zoom stuff. Like it was a Zoom in July of 2023. They had the Zoom on in there, and somebody goes, somebody yells on the Zoom, "Free Billy Tibbetts." And then somebody yells, Beverly Cannoni's like, we're going to have to turn the Zoom off if it doesn't stop. And then you hear somebody just yell, F you, Beverly. And it's just like, and it's a joke. It's like your courtroom is out of control. You're like the substitute teacher who wants to, put
paper airplanes
down. Right. It's like, you're a joke. I've never been in a courtroom like that before. Usually the judge scares you. Like they command respect. They let you know, like, this is my courtroom, and if you're out of, I have the power to put you in jail right now if I want to. I can put you and hold you, anyone in this room, in contempt if I feel like doing it. And whereas like, with Beverly Cannoni, it's just like, she's not going to do anything. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of people that have questions on it. Patsy, who points out that wanted to ask you, Aiden, what about the jury being tampered with, and notes that she had Judge Beverly Cannoni in civil court years ago. She didn't know her license was suspended for a non-paid ticket and got pulled by going through a yellow light. And
she was a B word.
Yeah. I won't use it. I know we've taken those down right now because I have the thing about calling women sexist stuff. I mean, only because I'm female, I guess. But what about the jury being tampered with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that something was amok there. Being in that courtroom and seeing the jurors' reactions to it, there was 3 jurors in particular, all women, who were making facial reactions throughout the trial that gave their opinions away. Like they couldn't have made it more obvious they were going to vote not guilty. And there's 15 jurors, so there's going to be 3 alternates. Go into the final day, the most obvious one, who was the most obvious not guilty, in my opinion, is called up, and she gets dismissed. As it turns out, there is a complaint that came in from Lieutenant John Fanning, who gave
John Fanning, the noteworthy, honest, best officer ever. That guy.
Yes, that John Fanning reported to the court officers that there is a videotape or an audio recording of this juror who is very sympathetic to the defense at the bar 6 weeks ago. He said at some bar in Dedham, talking about the case. That's what he claims. Now, no tape was offered or something like that. So this is like a third-hand story that's coming in from Michael Proctor's boss, John Fanning, who for some reason was in charge of overall security. I think they called him like the Grand Master or something like that of the whole security. So he never, there was a little confusion there. He was never with the jury. He didn't oversee the jury. He was in charge of overall security of the whole operation. And so he reports this third-hand story he hears about this juror who is obviously sympathetic to the defense, who Michael Proctor saw testify. Like during Proctor's testimony, she made the most faces. So Proctor saw her, Bryant Albert saw her, all these people saw her, right? She lives in Norfolk County like the rest of the jurors. She's recognized. And it's 6 weeks later after she goes to the bar, she's reported for comment that they claim they have an illegally recorded video for. They don't present that video, and she doesn't admit to it, but that's enough to get her tossed off of the case. I have interviewed this woman extensively. I talk to her frequently about this now. We are starting to put the pieces of a puzzle together here that I've been doing some research on, and I've kind of given some Twitter little teasers about where I'm going with this. There's more to this story. And I believe what has happened here is that this woman, somebody in her life decided that she had a falling out with, decided that who knew Brian Albert, as it turns out. I believe that he contacted a family member of his who is also a family member of Jennifer McCabe, had Jennifer McCabe at his daughter's wedding, had Brian Albert at his daughter's wedding. We got all the receipts of that. I believe that this man contacted either directly John Fanning or through the McAlberts and told them, this juror's got to go. This juror's got to go. She's sympathetic towards the defense. She's got to go. And, we're working on that. We're working on, kind of dotting my I's and crossing my T's with that story, but she's gone. And so then they have the closing statements. Brian Albert sitting in court with Jennifer McCabe and Colin Albert, staring down the jury. One juror I spoke with says he's intimidated by this. And then after closing arguments are done, they do a raffle. But before they do the raffle, Judge Bev goes, I'm going to pick the foreman first. I pick you. And she points to juror in the one seat. That juror happens to be a former police officer who was hit by a car. Okay. And left police after he was hit by a car, as it turns out. And the defense picked him because they like the idea of former police officer. He's also a physician's assistant now. So they figured, okay, basically a doctor, a PA, and, former cop. They liked the sounds of that. But this guy was no good. And he was, as we found out, he was kind of leading the charge in the jury room for guilty. And so he was chosen as the foreman randomly by Judge Bev.
Well, that's in Massachusetts. It's one of the few states that the judge chooses the foreperson. We had that in Aaron Hernandez. And of course, they always choose, it seems to us, the person who's leaning towards guilt, because I don't care what you say. My opinion is they kind of know who's leaning towards guilt.
Oh, of course they do.
Right.
If you were in that
other
courroom,
states, right. Yeah. In other states, New Jersey, it's the wheel, right? And some states,
or the jury picks the foreperson.
Or you just the person in the number one automatically, is it? But the judge to choose, and that's a law that really should be changed. That's a real unfair law.
And because of that, his is the only number that is not put in the raffle. And so they do, Jim McDermott does the raffle and he picks out the numbers, doesn't show them to anyone. He just reads them. Oh, the juror who's in the 3 seat and the juror who's in the 4 seat, you're out. They happen to be the 2 other jurors who were sympathetic, who were making faces indicating that they believe Carney was not guilty. And they have since confirmed that afterwards. One of them has come out and give a public statement. She's a lawyer herself. And she was she wore a pink dress in protest during deliberations, in which she, I guess, just had to sit outside the room after wasting 3 months of her life listening to this case. So to me, we calculated the odds of that. If you were to pick 3, so there's 15 jurors. Okay. If you were to pick the 3 that were most obviously not guilty, which were obviously these 3 jurors. Okay. The odds that you get the first one is 1 in 15. Okay. And then the next one would be 1 in 14, because there's 14 left, times 1 in 13. And I think it came out to like 1 in 551 were the odds that you would get those 3 jurors in no specific order to be the ones that were, the crazy statistical things that happen in this case are just, mind boggling. But those are the 3 that were eliminated, and the jury hung as a result. These are 3 women, especially the lawyer, who is, lawyers are good at persuasion. That's what they get paid to do, right? I mean, you go into law because you like to argue, right? You like to be
we
right.
try.
And it's so like that's what they would be good at. And you needed a strong personality in that juror room if you feel passionately about something. From what I understood, a lot of these guys, like 3 of them, like Ronnie, nice guy, I had him on. Ronnie is not a dominant personality. And he is, he's easily persuaded. Like that's how I would describe him, as he could go either way. He will go the way that the most dominant force in the room is pushing him. And, a couple other guys on the jury, the 2 others that kind of wavered back and forth, were the same way. And thank God, and God bless those 3 jurors who never wavered and who never said that they were just never going to change their mind on this. So God bless them.
Yeah, well,
I think Linda would agree with this. And when it comes to jurors, you've got sheep and you've got wolves, right?
And sometimes you take the sheep because you've got the people that are standing again with you, and they're going to be, and you don't have that many challenges. So
otherwise, you get 12 angry men. You
you
need some sheep in there.
You take them. It's just a matter of when I was dealing with my trial experts, my jury consultants with that. Fanning, as somebody points out, Lieutenant Fanning, who Hank Brennan railed for in terms of supposedly his credibility was somehow being annihilated by the defense, is the same Lieutenant Fanning, as he points out, that was in the Sandra Birchmore case that called Sandra Birchmore's death a suicide. My husband's involved in that case. He's a forensic pathologist, Dr. Michael Baden. He worked for the civil attorneys, and he's the one who first said, "Oh, wait, I'm looking at this as a homicide," and as a result, everything then.
Your husband's Michael Baden?
Yeah, that's
JFK Michael Baden?
Yeah, that's
JFK, Epstein, all of those. Yeah.
Is he on the witness list in this case?
If he is, you're telling me something I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. I've heard rumors. I'm not sure. Okay.
If he is, I'm going to have to go find out, because
I don't know.
We kind of like keep
that separate. Hey,
separate.
if he is, I'm going to try and get an interview.
I'm going to try to get an interview too. But you see, the problem is that he's so close mouth. No, he's Michael. Yeah, thank you.
The way it should be. That's good.
I'm going to have to find out now.
I don't know. I mean, I've just heard rumors. I don't, because Karen Reed doesn't give me the good shit anymore that she used to. So I go based on rumors. I don't know.
I'm speechless.
I don't know, because I don't know. I'm just opining. I have no idea.
It's not a wild idea, considering the Stoughton situation.
If you were the defense, wouldn't you bring in a medical? Wouldn't you try to bring in a medical examiner for this one?
Yeah, as I've done in many of my cases, because I have said from day one on this case, when we started covering a law and crime, I said, if you have the 2 state medical examiners who can't say this is a homicide, right? And then you have the 2 ARCA people who can't say there's no evidence that John O'Keefe was hit by a car. How do these charges even get to a jury that she's guilty of anything, unless you're going to say somehow she scared him, or she just dropped him off drunk, and somehow she's responsible for whatever happened there.
For not escorting him into the house or taking him home or something.
Right, something like that. How do you get past a motion to dismiss if you can't have the causality of a homicide committed by Karen Reed? And so I have railed about that since the law and crime.
The grand jury process is the problem. The fact that only one side gets to present their case, and they get to decide what they tell the grand jury, and more importantly, what they don't tell the grand jury. So they don't tell the grand jury that, there's a couple guys from a place called ARCA that think that this guy wasn't hit by a car. As a matter of fact, they say it's impossible physically for that to have happened. They don't leave that out. And that's what the Odell motions are for. Odell motions are for things that are left out of the grand jury. And that's what our motion to dismiss was largely based on, was things that were not told to the grand jury, because you can't just deceive them. You can't, only one side gets to give their case, but you can't deceive them. Right. And that, in order to have this grand jury indict Karen Reed, they had to be deceived a little bit. But
By the way, thank you for the Goodmans for gifting 5 Justice TV memberships, and also for Christine, the same thing. We're so involved in talking to Aiden, we're not really looking at the questions, and I apologize for that because all of your questions are really, really good. New member here. Kate asked, and this is what we just, why was the foreman selected before the jury was picked in Aaron Hernandez? Well, the foreman person in Aaron Hernandez was not selected before the jury was picked, was selected after, before they're going into deliberation. But the judge did select the foreperson, and we objected, actually. We said the selection of that foreperson, Aaron Hernandez, was one of the only people of non-color that was, and she was picked to be the foreperson, and we objected to that based on the fact that
what was the racial makeup of the Hernandez jury?
It was mostly black and Hispanic, and it was mostly non-white. It was like two white, two.
And I assume that's what the defense wanted, right?
Yeah, we were part of the. I was one of the 3
right.
defense people. We were very happy with the jury in Aaron Hernandez. Absolutely, we were in Suffolk County, obviously.
Oh, Suffolk County. That's
we
right.
were in Suffolk County, though.
Right.
So remember that. So
Bristol,
the jury pool is a little bit different in Suffolk County that we were choosing from.
Now, because the racial makeup of the Karen Reed jury was 15 white, 2 Asian. And so I'm like, when they walked in, I'm like, wait a minute, there's not a single black or brown person on this jury. I think the defense erred in that, because I watched jury things. I mean, there were plenty of black people that were brought up and dismissed. I think that they tried to get too cute. They tried to bring it. They tried to get, like, there's some PhDs on there. They thought that by getting the smartest people, that the smartest people would see through this. And in reality, you got a bunch of people who trust police, who just find it, who aren't street smart. You know what I mean? They're not regular people. Well, not that these people are irregular, but, like, you know what I mean? They're not, like, they can't relate to this idea. They don't want to live in a world where the police are capable of doing something like this, because they have the most to lose. You know, the people who are wealthiest have the most to lose if our society breaks down. And I think that they are less likely to believe this conspiracy theory than a jury of just regular people, if that makes sense.
And first of all, let me say something very important. You pronounced "erd" properly.
Thank you.
I get ragged on that all the time. It's not, it's aired. I said, no, it's not. So thank you. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. I am a doctor.
It's
not a medical doctor, but
it's the two of us. We're the
he
only ones.
He also pronounced Dalbert correctly. He didn't say Galbert. Okay.
That was my French pronunciation. So let me ask what's probably a rhetorical question, or maybe I'm just stupid. If I'm the prosecution, and I've apparently done all I can to get this jury as solid for me as possible, including, somehow bouncing the 3 most favorable defense jurors at the last minute, and yet it's still a hung jury, and yet after the fact we have anonymous affidavits suggesting there was unanimity on counts 1 and 3. Wouldn't you step back and say, let's rethink this? Let's maybe there's a way to resolve this short of another trial. I get no evidence that anybody ever had second thoughts about trying this again.
That would require something called perspective. And being able to read the room, as they call it, which they are clearly incapable of doing. They don't care how they look. They said that they were going to retry that case within 5 minutes of it ending. I mean, Paul O'Keefe said as much on his way out to Karen Reed, like, we're not done with you, or something like that. So, they don't. And the real question will be, and I'm asked this question a lot, is what's going to happen if they hang again? Are they going to do it a third time? Because that's when we start getting to the theater of the absurd.
Yep.
It's like, is Hank going to come back for that again? We're going to pay him again. We're going to do this all over again. Like, how many times can you foul ball before we call it a day? Before you say the batter's out. And it's like, before you're just like, you know what, we're just not going to get a hit today. It's just not going to happen. And it's unfortunate, but at least I don't get it, because you got a fall guy. You got Proctor if you're the Commonwealth. It's easy. I mean, it's not our fault. The police, idiots in the police, screwed this one up. They handed us this loser case because they didn't do their job correctly. Of course, if they did their job correctly, then Karen Reed wouldn't be there. That the not doing their job right was intentional. Like that was the whole point. Like they didn't do their job, because if they did their job and they interviewed Lucky Loughran and they found out who was driving that Ford Edge and they pulled surveillance videos from across the street, they would find out that Karen Reed didn't do it, and they would probably find out who did do it. And that's what they really didn't want to find out.
Well, that brings us to the Atlantic article. At one point, they start from the beginning with you, that how you got involved in this case. And it says at lunchtime on April 17, 2023, a retired police officer named Brian Johnson sent Carney the following message on Facebook. Now, I'll let you recount that message, right? So as to what you received on April 17, 2023, and tell people who Brian Johnson was.
Brian Johnson's a great guy, or he's a retired Duxbury cop who's been a turtle rider for many years. Likes the, I'm big into creating content that's supportive of the police, especially those who are killed in the line of duty, and just kind of taking that angle that, there's too many bad guys out there and they're killing cops. And that's a narrative that I subscribe to and run with in my journalism a lot. Well, so Brian is, there's like me, backs the blue, etc. And so when he messages me on April 17th and says, you need to check out this story out of Canton, it involves a former Duxbury cop who I worked with named John O'Keefe, great guy. And it's not adding up. Like this is it. Like this Brian Albert, whose house it was at, he's a Boston cop too. And he's got a bad reputation, and the dog's gone, and he's got dog bites on it. And you just need to read this filing. And so he sends me Alan Jackson's 94-page affidavit, which was filed, and Rick Green's affidavit too, which was filed on April 12th, 2023. And I start reading it, and every page my jaw drops more than the previous page, because they're not making baseless allegations. They are citing documents. They're citing things that are included as attachments and exhibits in this affidavit. And you can go back. They're like, oh, well, she Googled how long to the guy in cold. Okay, did she really? Oh, there it is right there. Cellbrite 227 deleted. See, they brought receipts. And so you're like, how can anyone deny this? This is like, and then it starts hitting you. You're like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like this happened. Like it was just, it's a lot to take in. And I think that's ironically the biggest obstacle that Karen Reed faces, is that you have to get people to believe that the most horrible betrayal of public confidence has happened in your state. And that is very hard. It's a hard pill for people to swallow, that those in power would actually do this. We don't want to believe that. Like that's a tough, like if our institutions are this corrupt, we are a third world banana republic. I mean, we are no better than any other country that, we cast judgment on for not being democratic enough or whatever. And meanwhile, we're up here framing people for murder and killing cops and throwing them on the front lawn and getting away with it.
Yeah, thank you, Sparky Brennan. Free Turtleboy, free Karen Reed, $2 donation. Also, Wednesday's Child. Thank you very much. I'm a huge fan of yours, Wednesday's Child, even though I haven't met you. Thank you for joining us tonight, because we have so much. Now, somebody had posted this. Christina said that there was another incident where he and Crawford altered video records in a criminal case talking about fanning. Do you know anything about that?
I haven't read about it. Somebody sent me that. I have to look into that. So okay. I can't comment.
Right.
I can't
so Christine,
comment on
so we can't comment on it.
I did read something about that too.
Yeah,
it's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah,
don't tell us
that
about
right.
it.
All
Yes,
these motions
you
and
got that
lemonade were keeping me busy the last.
Yeah,
Oh,
39
God.
motions. Lisa Caron, the motion to remove the third-party culprit defense was telling. Isn't it the fact that the prosecution said they can't be expected to disprove it shows reasonable doubt? Now, by the way, we're going to go into those motions. We started them last night. We're going to go into them Friday and Monday in more depth. But yeah, have you read this one, Aiden?
Yeah, the third party. I mean, there was the same one from last case. They filed the same one last case.
Yeah, they were all the same, I think. Yeah,
it's basically copy and paste. They added a couple quotes that they gave. Like they're like, well, she said on May 24th, 2023 on the courthouse steps, she told the media, we know who did it, Steve. We know who did it. And then during the Boston 25 News interview, they're like, we don't know who did it. It's like those statements don't necessarily contradict each other, because they say, we know who did it. It was the people inside the house. We don't know which one of them did it, but we know who did it. Like whoever was in there, someone did it. So like, it's like, and I think Karen Reed learned a lesson about why you're told not to talk. You know what I mean? Because
Miranda card.
That is what Hank Brennan that's all he's got at his arsenal, is taking things that Adam Lally did not do this, and Hank Brennan is, and just micro analyze every single public statement that you have made on or off the record with a reporter. And there are no shortage of that, because she's not afraid to talk, and just try to take something she said in bad faith and try to misinterpret it to make her look like a liar, like a dishonest person. That's all he's got, because he's a defense attorney. That's what they're taught. Like, that's how he does. That's how he's conducted business his whole life, except doing it, the opposite way, because he's usually used to defending scummy people.
So Michael, what Aiden suggests, that tomorrow Justice Surf TV should send Mr. Morrissey a letter asking, or an email asking, how it was that Hank Brennan was the person that was chosen.
Sure.
I don't think anyone has ever gotten on.
I've not seen that discussion with anybody. I don't know that we'll get a response, but I have no problem reaching out.
Send the press secretary. They got a new press secretary, David Linton. You can ask him. I want to say, let me bring up my email, because I messaged Mr. Linton right when he got the job. And let's see. So I asked him, I go, hi, this is an email I sent on November 4th. I said, my name is Aidan Kearney, and I'm a reporter from the Daily News. As we discussed on the phone, I guess I called him, I'm writing you for comment on this quote from a recent Vanity Fair article on the Carney case. Quote, meanwhile, according to sources, Morrissey's top prosecutors have refused to retry Reed's case. So he has taken the unusual step of retaining outside counsel to spearhead the next trial, Hank Brennan, who defended Whitey Bulger. And then I said, if this is true, then it would be a stunning admission that ADAs, who get paid by the taxpayers to prosecute cases, have refused to do their job. It sounds like insubordination, and I have some questions about that. Number one, what were the stated reasons that all the prosecutors in the DA's office refused to retry the Reed case? Were they ethically opposed to participating, or did they hope to avoid the same public humiliation Adam Lally was subjected to trying such a hopeless case on national television? Number two, will there be any discipline for this act of insubordination? And number three, does the DA's office find it at all problematic that the taxpayers must now pay an additional $75,000, actually make that $250,000, to Hank Brennan to do the job that we pay prosecutors to do? Thank you. And his response was the following. Aiden, in reference to your inquiry about the Vanity Fair article claims citing unnamed sources, the DA's office is not commenting on the article because it concerns a pending case. I can, however, refer you to the DA's announcement on September 18th. As was reported previously, Hank Brennan is being added to the team along with ADA's Caleb Schillinger, Adam Lally, and Laura McLaughlin. There are now 4 attorneys on the team to retry Karen Reed. And then he gives me the statement that he made about Attorney Brennan on September 18th. So basically, he tells me nothing. I'm not going to answer any of your questions. And here is a boilerplate thing that my bosses gave me to give you.
Yeah. So, but the question is, how did this name come?
How did they
to him?
pick this guy?
How did they
This
pick
star?
this guy? Who recommended this guy?
That's a good question.
That's the
He's
question.
He's got a lot of ties. He's tied to the Krauskis, who are, Joe Krauske Sr. sits in the jury box by himself at these pretrial hearings. He's like 1,000 years old. Call him Izzy Mandelbaum, and he sits there. He's Jill Daniels' lawyer, actually, and he sits there. And Joe Krauske Jr. goes on national TV and defends the Commonwealth on court TV during the trial. And I think that they are very close with Hank, and that they probably were like, hey, hook it up. Maybe they recommended him to them. We also know that Hank, prior to being hired, he took down his Facebook page, but we had a tip that he might be the guy. And so went on his page, and I screenshotted his whole friends list and who he's friends with. And he's good friends with a woman on there by the name of Carrie Lama, who is best friends with Jennifer McCabe. And so it seems like he's tied to the McAlberts. He's in that circle, and he's just kind of doing the bidding for them. I mean, this is the most protected family in America. I mean, you thought Chelsea Clinton had it good. I mean, this woman, or Hunter Biden, like this guy, the McAlberts, they are the most insulated family. Like the state effectively acts as their own private defense attorneys.
Interesting.
I had quite the in-depth conversation with Mr. Brennan on the courthouse sidewalk. I thought the cops were going to come and wrestle me. But I was showing up at about the same time he did, so I just crossed the street. And this, they got the barriers up, right? So only the crosswalks allow you to get between them. I've got all my gear, and I see him. I go, let's go talk to him. So I introduced myself. I asked him, how's the adventure going? And he just said, nice to meet you. And he toddled off. But the troopers were like checking me out like I was going to bash the guy over the head with.
I hate that. I hate the atmosphere out there with the troopers. And like they yelled at me one time and threatened to arrest me because I attempted to ask the defense questions. Like, you can't ask them that in the zone. You're in the, like, are you it's scary out there. Like this whole thing, what is happening in Norfolk County, this inability to ask questions, that it's witnessing, like what they did it to me. They opened the book to everyone. They're like, oh yeah, we can just threaten everyone with this. If you
we do come from a history of Sacco and Vanzetti in that courtroom, okay?
And not much has changed.
Not much has changed there. Olivia now says, but it also just shows how disingenuous the Commonwealth is with how they selectively choose things or mischaracterize them, deliberately pretend to mean something they obviously no, they don't, which is what Aidan's been saying. So please go to Aidan's channel, subscribe to his channel. He has a great channel, and Missy's going to put up his channel name again, and also hit the like button here tonight because Aidan's giving us time to talk to all of you on this show, and also about this Carney debacle. I mean, this is a debacle in terms of what happened with the jury, Aidan. I just don't get it. Why you couldn't bring them back and ask them the questions of what did you find?
You can. You can do that. They choose not to. They don't. I mean, you would think that Auntie Bev, a former defense attorney herself, would be troubled and have trouble sleeping at night knowing that, oh, wow, did a jury actually reach the conclusion and vote unofficially that this woman was acquitted of murder 12-0? Like, that should bother people. Like, that's the kind of thing that should keep you up at night. But it doesn't seem to bother her much at all, because she just doesn't like Karen Reed.
Yeah, and if you're predisposed, even on a subconscious level, like we think she is, then yeah, sure, you're not going to go out of your way to correct what was clearly a mistake that if she didn't make, she made far worse by just not asking that one question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's asked in every single case I've ever been in. I mean, we just heard it asked in the ASAP Rocky, or we heard it instructed in the ASAP Rocky case before the jury went in. By the way, if you come to a decision on any count, but it can't reach a decision on another count, please let me know, and I'll let you come out, and talk about it. Ryan S. says what shows her bias is the last bench trial with Penny McGee, where she found Penny McGee not guilty. She can do the right thing. She can follow the law, but her decisions here show there's something not at play in the background. So that's what's coming out here. Now, this is a real interesting question. Michael, could you read this and see this?
Sure, I could read this.
Yeah.
From To Making It Count, could the home be reviewed for evidence underneath the floor or under renovations, etc.? Seems that could be considered tampering with the crime scene. Boy, there might be some time issues, and now it's there's some custodial issues because the house was sold like a fire sale pretty quickly, right? I feel sorry for the folks that live in there now. But I think
they'll get right on that. Yeah, they'll get right on that. Yeah, they're gonna. I mean, what planet are people? No offense to this person, but like, where are you? Are you new here? Yeah, they're gonna do that. They're gonna be like, yeah, that's what Auntie Bev and the Norfolk County DA's office is gonna do tomorrow. They're gonna be like, hold on. We need to go look under the floorboards, and we need to start holding these people. They're not going to do anything. Like, once you realize that they're just corrupt scumbags who are so used to the status quo, you'll stop asking questions like that.
See, here's what I like, though, about our viewers. They still have hope. They still hope
God bless
that,
them.
the
God
right thing will happen and the right thing will be done.
They want it to happen.
I've been around this too long to know. I figured this is...
And we've seen it on other cases making count. I think in the Jodi Arias case in out west somewhere, about 10 years ago, she killed her boyfriend, a horrible case. I think the house had been sold and people let the cops back in. So if you want to do it, I think there is that precedent to do it now, but who's gonna do it?
Well, yeah, exactly. The cops wanted to go back in. Like the cops don't want to go in. They
didn't want to go in that night.
They already got their guy. They took them 10 minutes to figure out Karen Reed's the guy, and then they don't want to hear anything else. They don't want to go in the house and reopen this up. Are you guys crazy?
Alana Lou says you're a legend, by the way, Aiden.
Oh, thank
God
you,
bless
Alana
you.
Lou.
You
Appreciate
donated
that.
£5, but that you're a legend.
I think it's
Jody,
€5, but that's okay.
€5. I'm
Snakes,
sorry.
snakes, yeah.
I'm still thinking they're back in the pounds with that little L, thing. €5. No, they would be pounds, right? Is it euros or pounds? Because
They're
England didn't go
euros.
to the.
They stayed
Yeah.
with it. Yeah,
They stay with it. Okay. Jody 617, Linda Michael, thank you for your coverage of this case. Thank you for being transparent with viewers about the facts and truth about the boots on the ground. Now, I've been a prosecutor. I've been a defense attorney. We call it as we see it. And we see I got trouble right here in River City in this case. All right. And thank God for Aiden, because I don't think, Aiden, if you had brought this out, I really don't see this becoming the case that it has become.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But it had to be done. The spotlight had to be put on it. But I've paid a hefty price for it, for doing that. Some could say some say that I went too far or whatever. I think I didn't go far enough in a lot of cases, quite frankly. It's like, I think I did my job. I investigated, I asked questions, I did I didn't just take things at face value. I went down there and on top of my journalism, I also did some activism and a little satire, and there's nothing wrong with that. These are all fundamental American rights protected by the First Amendment.
And I remind our viewers that, civil rights didn't come easy.
Nope.
People died. I mean, I can be a civil rights attorney and I go bring in a case, but people, you got people, Mississippi burning, go watch a movie if you don't want to read about it.
Right.
Young kids died for their beliefs in justice and freedom in the American system. And so when Aiden comes and yes, don't think that, he's doing this because, as some people said, he just wants to get fame. He is paying a price for doing this. Just being indicted is a price. And if you want to see the rest of the price, go read the Atlantic
Well,
article.
I mean, you did 60 days. I mean, it wasn't like it's just a paper penalty.
Right. Like, did Martin Luther King just want fame? I mean, you could argue that, right? It's like, well, because he's pretty famous, right? But he paid a price. He paid a price because he believed in something. And I'm not comparing myself to Martin Luther King, but I like to think that people like him inspire me. That, like, I am the great people in American history we learn about aren't the people who just went along to get along. They're the people who saw an injustice and were willing to sacrifice themselves and their liberty and their freedom or their lives in pursuit of something greater than themselves. And that's what I see here, is that I see a horrible injustice that if it could happen to Karen Reed, it could happen to anyone. And I'm happy and I'm proud to be able to put myself out there, even if it means, risking my own freedom, risking my own safety. And because some things are more important some things are just, when we're all going to die one day, and what's your legacy going to be? And this is going to be mine.
Right. Hopefully nothing will happen to you worse than has happened to you already. And that's we're going to make sure we all give Aiden the platform so that he's protected, because the more there is, the better he's protected. Kiki St. John says, does the defense have a jury consultant? Aiden, do you know the answer to that?
No, I mean, you got to be rich to have jury consultants. That's like some runaway jury stuff, like to have that, like tobacco companies, but like I assume jury consultants are very expensive because they have to be able to do background research on a pool of 150 jurors that comes.
That's true.
Like,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, you have to know. Like, you have to have a dossier on every single one of them. Yeah. So I don't think they have that.
Yeah, Shy Gal, who's one of our moderators, God forbid the jury comes back guilty, will they let her stay on bail pending appeal? Pending appeal.
Well, what else do they? I mean, they're going to take away her bail. That's not going to happen. So
Oh,
if it comes back guilty.
Yeah, guilty.
Oh no, they're going to throw. She'll be gone. Like two sides.
They'll do the cuffs in court and haul her out the back door.
We won't see her for a while. I mean, she'll be that will be. I mean, I've thought, obviously that thought has crossed your mind before. If that happens, that will be one of the most depressing things that could possibly happen. I don't think about it very often, but if that happened, I can't even imagine how depressing that would be. What a horrible, horrible injustice that would be if that were to happen. So praying it doesn't. And I can't imagine a world in which it ever does. But for not only because it's just horrible to happen to her and her family and to all of us who have, are so deeply invested in freeing her. But on top of that, some of the most vile people, like Michael Proctor, will be celebrating it, and that will make it even worse.
Do you think the prosecution is planning to try this case by not calling Michael Proctor?
We don't know for sure if they're not calling Michael Proctor yet. They could be calling Michael Proctor. How can they not?
That's what we've talked about. But is he going to be taking the fifth on some key issues, or I mean, how do they fill in the holes if they don't call him?
I don't think he's going to take the fifth on it. I think he's going to do exactly what he did last trial: get up there, read his text messages, apologize for them, say that they were juvenile, but that the investigation besides that was pretty flawless. So besides some unflattering text messages that he never thought would see the light of day, he's a great detective. I mean, that's basically what he set up there, and he did everything by the book.
Doesn't he have another hearing tomorrow, or am I?
He does. And according to John DePetro, who is basically state propaganda, he's their new state propagandist of choice. He's like a disgraced Rhode Island radio guy. Who shops at the Goodwill store. He made a post saying, if I recall this, on Twitter today, let me read the exact quote. And, this could be true. I know he talks to them. He's close with like those people, but he said, he made a post saying, it's a screenshot of an email. It says, time sensitive. Family of lead investigator in Karen Reed murder case will share their side. And then it's a email. It says, hi, John. Doesn't say who it's from. Tomorrow morning, we will be sending you the Proctor family's response to the defense's misinformation campaign in the Karen Reed case. For the first time, the family of Michael Proctor, the lead investigator in the case, is sharing their thoughts about the defense's deliberate efforts to malign Proctor and deflect from the evidence in the murder case. They will also have a specific call to action for the public. We just wanted to give you a heads up that this is coming your way. We will be back in touch tomorrow morning. And then it says, thank you so much. And then it cuts off who it's from. But I believe, I have no reason to think this isn't true, but that sounds like a Lizzie Proctor, the wife of Michael Proctor thing. That sounds like something that she would put out there because she's extremely arrogant and thinks that she can talk her way out of anything. And that sounds to me, when I read that, if this is true, that sounds to me like they know that tomorrow Michael Proctor is getting fired and that they're being like, fuck it, let's burn it down on our way out. That's what that sounds like to me.
Well, interesting. Somebody that passed by, I saw it pass by really quickly. Somebody suggested that, Proctor maligned himself, but someone suggested that this is the way of the Commonwealth getting around the gag order that they asked for.
Oh, Doug, if
family and friends,
right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
right.
yeah, I guess, yeah, there's nothing stopping Elizabeth Proctor from speaking out. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I thought there was a gag order. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, this gag orders, that's why gag orders are stupid. It's like,
especially this late in the game. What's
the
deal?
Right. Exactly.
Disney nerd. That was Disney nerd. One of my moderators. That was you. It was a great question, Disney nerd. It was a great comment. It was a great pickup. Okay, Yeah, but the gag order is ridiculous at this point. Why do you ask for the gag order now? But now you see other people want to get around it. That could be. I mean, that really could be. Because I always say, families are not gagged.
Yeah. And does the gag order apply to the trial? Does that mean they're not allowed to speak to media? Like before trial, until the jury's impaneled?
Well, it depends. It's usually all the way through verdict.
It's all the way
so
through
when
verdict.
they go out every day now and there's reporters there, they just can't comment?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
How? I mean, what a disgrace.
Yeah.
What
family members can of as long as they're not on the witness list. Now, here's the problem: if they're on the witness
list, even Karen Reed can if she wants to.
Karen Reed can, and her father can. Her father can go out there and do the same thing.
He's been pretty quiet
unless he's on the witness list.
How do you think he's doing? How's Mr. Reed doing?
Physically, not. He's lost a lot of weight during this. It's very noticeable. I'm sure he'd rather be doing something else in his golden years than sitting on every day in Norfolk County courthouse on a wooden bench watching his daughter be framed for murder. I'm sure there's other things he'd rather be doing. But he's a very intelligent man. He's very dedicated to his daughter. He's like, call him like America's dad because he is fighting for his daughter in the way that we all would imagine or hope that we would if our daughters had something like that happen to them. So, he's not afraid to talk once in a while. He doesn't do it all the time. But he's delivered speeches in front of the courthouse, and he's not afraid to speak his mind.
Yeah, he's very friendly, always very friendly, coming and going.
Totally. Yeah, the Reeds are very nice people. They're very friendly. They're very easy to get along with. They're very personable, and they say, well, how could Jennifer McCabe, a soccer mom, could never do something like that, but a finance woman from Fidelity could? What that make it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. What Lana Lou says, it was pounds, Michael.
Yeah, from the UK. Yeah.
From the UK.
Not the rest of the whole European realm.
Because the UK didn't buy
Brexit
into that.
Didn't stick.
Yeah, the UK didn't buy into that.
So, Aiden, you've been so generous with your time. We don't want to, keep you.
Yeah, I got a couple more minutes for sure. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because, and I think I saw a note about it in the article, which, as you can see, I actually printed out. This is paper, weird paper. Printed it out so I could write things on it. But there's a point at which you say, this is going to end, right? We have to assume. What's that going to be like for you?
Take a big it's going to be a relief, like that this is finally over. I just get to sit back, and that's when I write the book. That's when I, you know what I mean? That's when I write my memoirs and just do the tours and interview. And one thing Karen Reed and I have talked about is that when this is over, I will get the first kind of sit down exclusive interview and do this. And I'm really looking forward to that, where we can just let it all out, and there's nothing more to hide anymore and nothing more to worry about, what we're going to have to say. And Karen doesn't have to worry about seeing Aunt Bev next week and getting bad looks from her. So it's going to be, I don't know what I'm going to do with my time. I'll probably just go back to what I was doing before. But I'll do some true crime stuff. I'm fascinated by all this. I'm all in. And I'm sure this case will never end. Like the case will go on. Like as long as when Karen Reed is acquitted, that means that no one's ever been held responsible for the death of John O'Keefe. And so that will never, people will always talk about it as long as that's the case.
Well, what about your case? I mean, what's scary here is that she could get acquitted. Let's assume she does. Okay. And your case still goes on. And
that's correct.
You're right. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll be able to focus on my case. My cases could be thrown out tomorrow. We have a motion to dismiss that's still under advisement, so we don't know. I'm not afraid of a trial.
I think you'll have every lawyer in the world wanting to come help you because they all believe in what you're doing.
I look forward to that. I relish the opportunity to put all these people on the stand once again, and this time the burden will be on them to prove that they're in fear and intimidating. And we will play that CF McCarthy's video. You can count on that. That will be played at my trial. It's just a joke. So I'm not worried in the least. I mean, on paper, my charges are serious, but when you actually look at the facts of the case, it's a joke. And so if they want to do that, then we can do that. But I think they're going to lose their thirst for this, and I think this is largely to keep me on ice during the Reed trial.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm worried about them putting you on the witness list so they keep you out of the courtroom. But you said you're not, because then you'll be.
I would take that trade.
That would be so fun.
That's a trade I would take. If you put me on, oh my God, make me a witness in the Karen Reed case and put me on that stand and let Spanky cross-examine. Oh my God, I will trade access to that courtroom for the entire trial in a heartbeat for that.
Yep.
Yeah. Are your kids proud of you?
Yeah, I mean, they don't know what the hell I do. They're 7 and 9. They just know that whenever we go out, people want to take pictures with me. Happens a lot.
I love it.
But and they know that, well, they must be doing something right. And I've explained the Karen Reed thing to them, and then they forget it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, what was that?" And I explain it to them. It's very dark to tell 7 and 9.
Yeah, no, but I just wonder whether because you have this aura, like when you do go out, and I want to know what the reaction, because I'm sure you're protective of them and you love them. And Kelly, that came through in the article so much,
they're what I do everything for, obviously, like any parent. Like your kids come first with everything.
Yep.
And so everything you work. Why do we work? We work to provide for our families, right? And so this is how I provide for my family. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're terrific. What else you want to tell us before you leave? Because you are just so generous with your time. You're so generous to help Karen Reed. You're just so generous. You know?
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on. I'm sorry it took so long to get on here, but I really like your format here and your program, and it's been a pleasure coming on here with such distinguished legal minds such as yourselves and
me
discussing this case.
So, and I hope you don't mind if I continue to stalk you when I'm up there. And I'm going to come up next week on the 18th, whether your thing is pushed or not, because that's when they're going to argue all the motions in limine.
Yes.
So,
that's the 18th. Yes. So hopefully
that should be interesting.
Hopefully,
where is your matter if it's not moved? Where is that?
Stoughton. So Stoughton is
Stoughton.
about 20, 30 minutes from Dedham, same county.
Birchmore. Is it
Birchmore?
Yeah,
Birchmore is
jurisdiction.
It's right south of Canton. So and that's why the alleged crime took place in Canton. So that's where we're going to that courthouse. But so I'll be there. Hopefully, it'll be quick, and then I'll be right back up to the courthouse in Dedham.
What? Just so I have it here, as it stands now, what time are you on the calendar for?
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
a.m.
Same time as Karen's. So
I'll keep an eye on it. So if I don't end up there by myself, I'll keep an eye on it before.
Hey, you may be because we were we're one of the few people that has a streaming channel like you and who are up there. Michael's been up there and coming up there. We're not up there just for, as we say, the opening where you get the big networks, right? And the openings and all. Michael's been up there trying to talk to people because we have been so invested in this from when we were on Law and Crime, and then Law and Crime dropped the host, but we still stayed invested in this case.
Yes, and
it's a scary case. It's a ongoing miscarriage of justice, and we just say that when we start looking at this case, we look at like any other case, and as it starts to unfold and gets worse and worse and worse, you start to think it's a joke. And so we aren't biased coming in. We come in open-minded, but how do you stay that way after seeing everything that we've seen in the first version of this trial, and now what's happened between trial 1 and the upcoming trial 2? I don't know how you feel that it's the right thing.
Yeah. I don't know either. And I just have to believe that it has to have a happy ending. It can't we're being tested here. We're being tried, like a lot of people in history they've been pushed to the limit to see how far they can go without breaking and how much they can, how much do you believe in this? And we believe in it all the way. And we're going to see this one all the way through. It's going to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
God bless you, brother. You're doing the good work, and we appreciate you sharing with us, and we will keep in touch.
We'll do.
Yeah, and then before you go, everybody, we're going to again share. Obviously, we're going to share Aiden's channel. Please hit the like on this just to show that he didn't come on here just to waste his time, and hit the like if you like him, and follow his channel. Subscribe to him. I think it's $4.99 a month for a subscription, and you actually talk to people.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's free to watch it on YouTube. It's free to subscribe on YouTube. We have an extra premium one in which you get access to the website unlimited with no ads, because the ads are horrible on my website, and you get a Thursday stream for $15 a month. So,
cool.
Or you just get it free on YouTube, whatever you want. So
yeah, but support him if you can. Support him for all the work he's doing, because we need journalists like Aidan Kearney around Dr. Turtleboy.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you
Thanks
for having
again,
me.
sir. Have a great night.
You guys have a great night. Talk to you later.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye. All right then. Okay. So are you okay? Do you need to crash out, or
No, I think I'm gonna get yelled at because I probably talked over you a number of times.
Oh, so what? People have to get over that. Come on. We're both trying to jockey for some Q&A time with Aiden.
Well, no, just that we're both so excited, and you really are invested, because you, as I said to people, you are going up. You are making the trip, 3-hour trip back and forth. You've done it. This will be your third or fourth time.
I can't remember.
And then we heard some information tonight that I don't even know about, so I had to go.
Oh yeah, you might be going up there. Who knows?
Suss it out.
And who knows what he's hearing may be related to the Sandra Birchmore case, right?
Yeah.
Because there was obviously a connection there. That would be very interesting.
That's
so maybe as a journalist, I could reach out to Dr. Michael Baden and ask him if he's involved in the case.
When I came back from Spectre, I had to put off my New York jury duty because I was in California, obviously. And I put it off to when I thought it was coming back. And surely enough, I think it was the Monday after I came back, I had to go to jury duty after being, in a courtroom away from my house and my puppy, my husband, everybody, my family for nearly 6 months. And okay, so I go to the, I get picked for like the B and all sorts of stuff, and I'm almost getting into that jury box. I'm so excited because maybe I will be a juror.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
I would love it. I've never gotten close.
And then we get to that point, and then they start reading off. And in New York, they don't tell you which side. Like, like in Jersey, they'll say, and for the defense witnesses could be, the prosecution witnesses could be, do you know any of them? In New York, they just read off possible witnesses. And when they get to the last witness, they say Dr. Michael Baden. And I'm like, what? Huh? Right?
Yeah.
Now I didn't see. And so I'm trying to raise my hand to get the court officer. And like, they're like, I'm like raising my hand because
wait your turn.
So finally I see the court officer comes over, and I said, well, that's my husband. I really shouldn't be like infecting this jury panel right here. And so I see the court officer go up to the judge, and the judge does this.
Gives you the
right. So I go
here,
toddling up, and I guess he says, I guess you and your husband don't speak much to you. I said, well, you don't tell me what he does. I mean, he does his thing.
And that's so important, of course. I think that's not like dinner table conversation.
Yeah. So I'll just never forget that judge going like this. And then, but I could tell which side he was on because I didn't know, because the prosecution was like over there, like glaring at me. Speaking of glaring, and the defense was like over here, like, yeah.
Yep. Oh, well, that was over soon.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we got a lot of work to do. So we should tell everybody what we're doing tomorrow. We're going to be on the air earlier.
Yeah. Actually, here's an impromptu Where in the World. I'm not going to say a word about it. I'm going to be somewhere tomorrow. I'll tell a story that relates to that location, and Missy and any other of our mods can nail somebody who identifies the location first, and we will send you the Where in the World mug. So yeah, going to be on the road, just kind of an impromptu little trip. Tomorrow we'll do that, and we'll talk about the prosecution.
5 o'clock.
I think 5:30 is the right time.
5:30.
Yeah, we'll post that, and then we'll have
Friday.
What we're going to do in more motions in limine for the prosecution.
Yeah, right? We're going to do more motion, and then we'll do more motions in limine for the prosecution. We'll start those tomorrow, and then we're going to continue that discussion. 6 o'clock on the show will air 6 o'clock on Friday and 6 o'clock on Monday. Have more in-depth discussion, and we're going to pick the ones that are important. Look, we're not going to go through. We went through some of the pro forma, but we're going to pick like three or so that we think from each side are the most important motions in limine, and start with discussing those tomorrow, along with your questions, because we haven't answered some of your questions.
Yep. So we have a chunk of those that we're going to do as well. I was looking at the jury questionnaire, which was used the first time, and based on the lack of creativity in the prosecution's motions in limine, I'm assuming they're going to use the same jury questionnaire. So maybe we'll dabble on that too. There are a couple of very interesting questions on that 2-page questionnaire, which might be helpful to figuring out what each side is going to be looking for, because they craft that together. So,
all right. So again, 5:30 Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow, we will be here. Okay. So I know it's a little earlier than 6. It's certainly a lot earlier than 9. And then you'll have 2 shows from us again, Friday and Monday, going over the jury questionnaire. Those will be at 6 o'clock, along with your questions. So
Where in the World tomorrow? Just be ready. It's going to be like spontaneous.
Are we giving away if you find
a mug? Yes, I just held up my mug.
I know.
Scott McGinnis says, I'm so pleasantly surprised. Oh, sorry. Oh, the black version versus the green version?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a crapshoot. I got, we got shelves of them, and it's grab one off the shelf. I don't know. Scott McGinnis, I was so pleasantly surprised several weeks ago. I had no idea who Michael was. Who does? Before meeting him in person in front of the court and talking to him. So very interesting. Oh, appreciate that, Scott. Scott is out there. He's serious. He is out there. As I recall, Scott, through videotaping virtually everything, or digitally recording it is probably the best way to put that. Some very passionate folks out there. Happy to chat with them, get their take on this. And, they ain't in the minority, I'll tell you that.
Oh, we'll see how they pick the jury. Okay.
Let's get out of here. We'll see you, I guess, tomorrow from somewhere, wherever in the world is justice tomorrow. Until then, I'm Michael Bryant. Try to do the right thing.
And hit that like button before you go, because I need you to like to get us into the algorithm. Subscribe, share, and also that notify. I'm Linda Kenney Baden. We will see you tomorrow night at 5:30.